This place hasn't been in active use in years.
That's right.
This telephone wire is new.
Well, and this just proves my point. Nick kidnapped Kelly, brought her here, set up this phone to make all the calls to Dad and you.
Yeah, right. And then he knocked out this window and shot up the place just to make sure she'd know he meant business.
Look,
right?
I know all this doesn't make sense, but I'm sure it will.
Some kind of battle went on here, see, and it takes more than one person to have a fight.
If you ask me, it only takes one person.
Tim, you want to do me a favor and check this area out again for me, man, please? See if you can find something.
What is this?
It's me. Don't touch that.
All right, don't yell at me.
Well, don't interfere in my investigation, Eden.
It's my sister.
And it's my case.
Don't touch me. Don't ever do that again.
You wanted it as much as I did.
It's just a physical reaction. It doesn't mean a thing. It certainly doesn't change a thing.
You still hate me, is that it?
Yes. Yes, I do. I hate your superior attitude that you have about my mother and about Nick.
My attitude doesn't need to be changed, Eden. Yours does. And as far as your mother goes, the law is very clear on how to deal with what happened. It's a simple process to be followed, and I just followed that process.
I don't really care what the law says. People bend the law. They break the law all the time. You do.
I do?
Yes, you do, Mr. High and Mighty. And I see yourself, turning yourself in and following due process.
How do I break the law?
You speed. You roll through stop signs. You run yellow lights. You get parking tickets, stacks of them.
Nothing
Yes,
to
it
do
does.
with this.
The law is the law, no matter what aspect you're talking about, right? And you tell me what's the difference. You talk about consistency. You talk about integrity. You took an oath to uphold the law. Well, do you only get rigid when it's dealing with my mother?
Okay. I break the law. Now come here.
Why?
Because I need to hold you, baby.
That's your problem.
Eden, I love you.
I begged you to do something for me, for once in my life. And you denied me. It's too late.
Don't you shut me out. Please, don't shut me out.
I don't know how you could ever ask me to forgive you for what you've done. I have never known a man to be so cruel and insensitive to my family.
I couldn't let my feelings for your family stand in the way of my duty.
You knew what it would do to us if you turned to my mother, and you did it anyway.
Will you put yourself in my shoes for a second? Have you ever loved me? I think you'd be able to understand.
In your book, love only works one way, doesn't it? Your way. Well, I guess I should have been able to have seen that, but I didn't. You see, it's all in your Latin machismo upbringing, them feeding your ego all from since the day you were born. Then you grew up and you realized that society didn't look at you as powerful. You didn't have anywhere to go with that ego.
You finished?
No, I'm not. I'm not done by a long shot, because you've always been angry with people like us. You've been angry at people with money, with power, with social status. You decided to get even with us, put the screws to people like us. And so you arrest one of us. And it's like arresting all of us, getting even with us for treating the Mexicans and the poor like dirt. And using my mother is unforgivable.
That's enough.
No, it's not.
How dare you say that about me?
Easy, because it's true.
It amazes me that you still don't know me any better than that. I never felt the need to get even with somebody like you. I never felt the need to get even with anybody. Not once have I doubted that I could make it here on my own.
Yeah, but just to make sure, drag the Capwells through the mud. That's definitely a merit of heroism.
You know, I think you need to review your history. Your people weren't always so rich and powerful, you know. True, the Capwells came over here on the Mayflower, but it was definitely steerage class. When they got here, they had nothing but the clothes on their backs. They had to scrounge for work just like any other family. In fact, they were lucky to make it through that first tough winter, if I recall the story correctly. And while that was going on, out here in California, when California was still Spanish, the Castillo family was thriving. Hey, we were huge. We were wealthy. We had over 100,000 acres under our control at one time, Eden. That's more than your family, your father, will ever dream about having.
But it's not that way anymore, and you resent it.
Resent it? Let me tell you something. My parents taught me, don't resent the capitals of this world. Just beat them at their own game. My parents love this country, and they taught me to love it. This is America, baby. This is America. Ain't no other place like it on the face of the earth. I can be whatever I'm willing to make myself into here. and so can my children.
That's great, Cruz, but there are certain rules.
The rules that count are the rules I make for myself, Eden. And the only time I feel unhappy is when I go against those rules. Part of what I believe in is obeying the law. I'm sorry. That's what makes this country great. We obey the law. It protects us. And I don't want you or your mother or anybody to think they can point a gun at somebody, pull the trigger, and get away with it. If Sophia can get away with that, anybody can.
You know, I love this self-justification you have on what you've done. Because all it is this wonderful, idealistic moralizing, and it's meaningless. The real issue here between you and me is something you can't explain away. You took away my mother.
It's a memory machine designed to alter minds.
Alter minds? I didn't know a thing like this existed.
I've never had the opportunity to examine one firsthand, but I was aware there were several kinds.
Well, how does it work?
On the principle of high-intensity electromagnetic impulses. At a certain level, it could damage brain waves.
Permanently?
If the intensity were low level, the damage would only be temporary. But if the exposure were high and protracted, it could cause permanent damage.
Do you think someone used this machine on Kelly?
No, wait, we have no way of knowing that, Eden.
Well, if she's hurt, then time's running out for her.
Inspector Castillo, I'm sorry, but we haven't found anything to give us a clue to where the Capwell girl was taken.
Well, then you better get some more men in here, Tim, because we're going to go over this place with a fine-tooth comb. We're going to stay here until we find something.
Well, I don't know what you hope to find here. Nick Hartley kidnapped Kelly, and the longer you stay here, the more time you're giving him to do anything
what we
he wants
have
out there.
found here makes me more convinced than ever that it couldn't have been Nick who did this.
Your naive faith in your friends amazes me. I think you go after the Sophia Capwells of this world a lot harder than you go after the Nick Hartleys. I'm going home. I don't want to even deal with this.
Yeah, why don't you? Maybe I can get some work done finally. Eden, wait a second.
Why should I?
Come on here. Look, I don't want you to leave thinking I'm not doing everything I can to find Kelly.
Oh, now we're talking about your ego again?
My ego is not the point.
What you've just implied to me is that you want me to think that you're trying to find my sister, when you and I both know that that's not the case. Because if you were, you'd be going after Nick, who's got it.
Nick couldn't have done this, baby. I mean, there's too much damage here to have been done by one person.
Look, we don't have anything to do.
Listen to me. I want to find them every bit as much as you do. And if it turns out that Nick is guilty, if he is proven guilty, I'll come down on him as hard as I would anybody else, I swear.
I've got to go.
Will you put your own ego aside for a second and listen? Hasn't anything I've said made a dent? Go on. Go.